But in this segment, we're going to start the discussion about the food supply to which the human species is naturally adapted. Now, looking at it overall, we find that people were eating something like 75% by volume of plant food and something like 25% by volume of animal matter. And it turns out that this ratio is pretty important. Those figures translate back to calories, which are often quoted by other commentators, into something like 45% to 50% of calories come from plant food, and something like 50 to 55% of calories come from animal matter. And once again, the animal matter would be the blood, the brains, the guts. They would eat everything of the animal, and they would be eating the snails and all the rest of it. Now, I'm not saying you have to be eating like this. The objective in today's world is to find the basic fundamental characteristics of this food supply such that we can then repeat it in today's world. And the good news is that it is quite easy to do, quite possible. But if you are worried about eating the blood, the brains and the guts, well, anybody who eats a hot dog or a hamburger is doing it all the time. Thinking about the plant food, it had a number of characteristics which are not necessarily repeated in today's world, and we're not doing it in today's world. First of all, the plant food was rich in micronutrients. And I'm not just talking about the vitamins and minerals that you might see a small list of them on the side of a cornflakes packet. I'm talking about the tens of thousands of bioflavonoids, of phenols and carotenes, and all the other wondrous phytochemicals that are present in the plant food to which our human ancestors were naturally adapted. And what is happening today is that we are eating a micronutrient poor diet, not necessarily for the reasons you might think. And we'll come on to those at a later stage in another segment as to just how that might be. But the point about it is that the human organism, along with many other kinds of creatures like us, the other great apes, for example, are designed on the expectation that these micronutrients, these phytochemicals, will be there. And if they're not, things don't work just as they should do. Our biochemistry is undermined, our immune system is undermined, and many other functions of our bodies. Secondly, this plant food was strongly alkalizing. That is to say, when we ingest it, when it's digested and metabolized, it has an alkalizing effect on the body fluids. In contrast, the animal matter, all animal matter, is acidic. It has an acidic effect on the body fluids. So just to back up a bit, for example, carnivores like lions and cats are designed to work on an acidic diet. They only eat animal matter. Herbivores, for example, like zebras or cows, are designed to work on an alkalizing diet. It turns out that human beings are designed to work on a broadly neutral diet, neither too alkalizing nor too acidic. It's this kind of Goldilocks zone. And what we're doing today, though, is eating an acidic diet, relentlessly acidic. Not necessarily because we're overeating too much animal matter, but because the plant food we're eating today is not alkalizing. And again, we'll come on to how that happens in a later segment. But the problem with an acidic diet is then it is undermining our body in various kinds of ways. For example, it is drawing calcium out of the bones to neutralize the acidic content. It is irritating the kidneys into leaking calcium. It is a factor in calcium kidney stones. And the relentlessly acidic diet is also undermining various kinds of organs. For example, the pancreas, the lymphatic system, the thyroid, and even the liver. So that's the second point. The plant food is supposed to be strongly alkalizing. And the third thing is that this plant food contains a lot of oligosaccharides, more commonly known as the various kinds of fibers. Soluble, insoluble, and downright inedible. For example, foragers eat quite a lot of tubers that they dig out of the ground. these are of a particular kind, and these things are massive, some of them. They can be weigh up to 20 to 30 pounds, and they can be 3 to 4 feet long. And they cut a piece off it, and then they chew it, and after 2 or 3 minutes of strong chewing, they have extracted all the goodness out of it, and they're left with what looks like a ball of string, which they then spit out, and that is the totally indigestible fibre. The soluble and the insoluble fibres we've all kind of heard about, we all kind of know that they're supposed to be there, that they're kind of good for us, and sure, the human body is designed for this high throughput of plant food. These people were consuming something like 2 to 3 pounds, kilo and a half of plant food every day, compared to something like half a pound to a pound, quarter of a kilo to half a kilo of animal matter. And that's that ratio that kept that acid-alkali balance just right. But coming back to the oligosaccharides, the fibers, they are feeding a biomass in our colon which is working symbiotically with us. And our body expects that to happen. And it's a fascinating subject, just how all the various pieces of that biomass are working with our bodies to keep us healthy. This is such a big subject that I'll deal with it again in another segment about colon health. So there are 3 points about this plant food: is that it is rich in micronutrients, it is strongly alkalizing, and it is rich in these particular kind of oligosaccharides. But just in passing, I'll just mention another interesting factor that's only just coming out. We're understanding that all this chewing is also an important part of developing the human jaws and palate. One of the mysteries that orthodontists have been examining, Paleo orthodontists, is a very new sector of dentistry, is understanding why it is in the Western world, and it's just in the last century and a half, people don't have enough space in their jaws for all the teeth that want to come through. And we're now realizing that today we're not developing the width and size of jaws and palates that nature designed for us. And part of the picture, it's not the whole picture, part of the picture is we don't have chewy enough food right from an early age. So that's the plant food. I want to come on in the next segment onto a second major topic, which is really causing us immense difficulties in today's world.
Everything Geoff Bond says in these videos and a whole lot more is to be found in his book, Deadly Harvest. Check it out at www.deadlyharvest.com.